Well, yesterday's video was pretty fun, wasn't it? Guys, as I said, my opinion on Richard Allen and his guilt in the Delphi murders was changed so far through this trial. Today we're going to be talking about Richard Allen. We're going to talk about what happened yesterday at court, but we're also going to be discussing Leilani Simon later in the video because Leilani Simon, the jury is in deliberation. Spoiler. They're going to find her guilty because Leilani Simon is guilty as fuck. Richard Allen, we don't really know yet. I know there's a lot of you people in the chat, in the comment section that's saying, nah, man, you got to realize he confessed. Don't you think I already realized that? Why do you think I said that I changed my position? And this is what I think a lot of the big problems are in this community, whether we're talking about Idaho 4, Leilani Simon, any of these, Sebastian, is that nobody, once people hone in on what their original opinion is, they're never willing to listen to the evidence and maybe alter their opinion a little bit, or at least consider the possibility that they could have been wrong all this time. Richard Allen is somebody who I initially thought was innocent. Then he confessed. I thought he was guilty. And now, either he's innocent or this government in Delphi, Indiana, is the worst, the absolute worst investigators I've ever seen. By the way, to you homos, I said, JB, you don't understand what kind of misery Richard Allen's been through. Bitch, I was in Westville Correctional Facility. And I was in Wabash, where he was at right before he was just transferred for trial. Dummy. I'm JB Gunner. This is Crime Time. Let's get into it. Yeah, these are some real dumb motherfuckers out here. I ain't gonna lie to you. Guys, I'm still sick, but we're gonna get right on into this. I'm JB Gunner, and this is Crime Time. Before we get started, though, let me first and foremost say thank you to everybody that supports the channel. Hell, any of my channels, regardless of platform and regardless of method you choose, whether it's Cash App, Patreon, Venmo, PayPal. Truth is, guys, I couldn't do this each and every day as often as I do on all these different channels for the last 18 years if it wasn't for you, the Gun Squad. You guys are the ones that make this happen, so thank you very, very much for your support. If you too find my content valuable, feel free to hit the links down below. Support the channel. Join the Gun Squad today. You can also find the links to my other content. I got 24 different channels. We do politics, live streams, gaming, wrestling. We got it all. Hiking channels. We got it all. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into your update on Richard Allen. Sheriff admits Richard Allen may not match witness descriptions on day 6 of the Delphi murders trial. Guys, we talked about this a little bit. There's no DNA. The witnesses out there couldn't point, isn't on the, when they were on the stand, they weren't saying, yeah, he matches the description. In fact, their description of Bridge Guy and the person that they saw at least was completely different from what Richard Allen and actually the Bridge Guy was wearing. Now, I'll admit, Richard Allen's own description of what he was wearing that day and Bridge Guy seems to match. But as I said yesterday, I'm not even sure Bridge Guy is the guy that said down the hill. I'm being dead honest with you. That could have been an overlay. There could have been any of that. A voice overlay, because could you see his mouth move? Now, granted, I don't have the technology. I don't have the ability to analyze the real film. All we can see is what they released to us, right? And let's just be honest. This court in Delphi is in now Fort Wayne or wherever the fuck they're at, is very, very secretive when it comes to the Delphi case. It just kind of is what it is. But let's go ahead and get on into this, guys, because there was some interesting shit that happened on day 6, just to be honest. Now, the trial continues for a man accused of killing 2 teenage girls in Delphi more than 7 years ago. We all know this. We know his trial began last Friday. On day 6 of testimonies, the Carroll County Sheriff admitted that Allen may not match witness descriptions of the Bridge Guy. Jurors also learned how Richard Allen became associated with the case, and they heard from the multiple officers that interviewed Allen. Spoiler, he became matched. He became associated with the case because he's told them himself he was on the bridge. I don't know too many killers to be perfectly honest, that would call, and I've been locked up with a lot, and I've known killers, that would call up the police and say, yeah, man, put me at the scene of the crime. I don't know too many motherfuckers that would do that, just to be perfectly honest. I just don't. But let's go ahead and get on into this. Let's check out and see what we had on day 7. Day 6, I mean.
Day 7 in the Delphi murder
day
case.
6.
And we're learning more about how prosecutors landed on Richard Allen as their suspect. CBS 4's Charles Benberry is here now with a recap of what happened yesterday in the courtroom.
Yeah, we'll go to this.
More witness testimony today. Charles?
Well, Melissa, for the first time, Richard Allen was pointed out for the jury in the courtroom yesterday, not as the suspected Delphi double killer.
That's right.
But as the man who admitted to being on the Monon High Bridge.
That's right. That's always been pointed out for, is for being the man that admitted he was on the bridge, which we all knew. He was the one, I mean, he was the one that obviously filed the report. Still to this moment, no one has pointed Richard Allen out and said, Richard Allen, it was the guy we saw on the bridge. And keep in mind, he was a mainstay in the community at the CBS. Nobody has said, we saw Richard Allen. None of them. None of them.
Bridge trail the day Abby Williams and Libby German were killed. Now, jurors heard from Kathy Shank, a volunteer who spent years entering tips and reports into the investigative file system. She testified that on September 21st, 2022, she found a summary of Allen's interview stuffed into a file folder.
So once again, they misplaced the shit, by the way. They even labeled it wrong.
Told jurors she pulled out the report, read it, saw the name Richard Allen Whiteman, and that he admitted being
Richard Allen Whiteman.
She recognized a Whiteman in his name and took the report to Carroll County's lead investigator, Tony Liggett, who was running for sheriff at the time. She also said in an original tip sheet from 2017 with Allen's information on it, also included the word cleared. Within 5 weeks of Shank's discovery of the
cleared motherfuckers,
Richard Allen was in jail and charged with the murders. Now, also testifying was Steve Mullen, the former Delphi police chief who went on to become an investigator for the Carroll County Prosecutor's Office. He testified on Saturday about the early days of the case. Mullen said he received paperwork about Richard Allen on September 21st, 2022, the same day Shank flagged that report. Mullen spoke with Doolin about the 2017 report and discovered no one had followed up on Allen. He did some additional research and found Allen had 2 vehicles registered to him, a 2006 Ford 500 and a 2016 Ford Focus. Mullen went to retrieve video from the Hoosier Harvest store to see if Allen drove by there. He told the court he saw a vehicle entering the frame that matched Allen's vehicle around 1:27 p.m. Now, although Mullen couldn't see the license plate or the driver in that video, he said the car looked like Allen's and the rims were similar. Now
keep in mind, Richard Allen himself said he was on there from 1:30 to 3:30.
Notes that came up about Allen's circumstances in the late winter, early spring of 2017 was that investigators say they can't find the cell phone he was using back then. And DNR Captain Dan Doolin testified 6 weeks after the killing.
Well, no, you can't find the cell phone. Isn't that ironic? Isn't that convenient?
The height on Allen's fishing license was increased 2 inches to 5'6", and his weight listed was also increased. Melissa?
All right.
Oh, on his fishing license. Let me tell you something that people do. Let me tell you something that short people do. They lie to motherfuckers. And every broad that's watching me that's ever swiped right on motherfuckers will tell you I'm telling the truth. How many times have y'all ladies went to meet a dude and he was shorter than what he told you he was? Because these motherfuckers lie. And when you're on your fishing license, or even when you're on their ID, when you go get an ID, you could lie. You understand? You can lie. And listen, it's all sometimes subjective. I'm between 6 foot and 6'1". I always just say 6. It depends on what I'm doing. If I want to sound tall, I say 6'1". If I want to just sound, if I just want to just throw a number out, I just say 6 foot. But dudes, on the other hand, short dudes lie about. And there's a lot of you little tiny motherfuckers in here watching me right now. You guys know you lie about your height all the time. Someone that's 5'4" is going to say 5'5" or 5'6". Because do you know how fucking tiny 5'4" is? That's a child. That's not even a man. That's not even a male. And you women know that. Imagine fucking a man, 5'4". Imagine how tiny that little motherfucker is. Let alone, I don't believe people 5'4" have the ability to kill two human beings at one time, if you want to know the truth. I'm sorry. You can say whatever you want. But this whole license thing, he was 5'6" and now he's 5'4". No, that's just him lying. That's just him when he's filling it out and it says height, weight. And he's filling it out himself. He said 5'6", motherfucker. Because no man wants to admit that they're 5'4". No man with a 4-inch dick wants to admit he's got a 4-inch dick. He's going to lie to you and say, I got 6 inches, baby. Right or wrong. It's just the truth. No woman tells you, for the most part, that she's fat. How much do you do? You never ask us our weight. Bitch, I know you're 190 pounds. Tell the truth. No, I'm 170 and I carry it well. No, you don't, bitch. I can literally see the Hostess Twinkie snacks oozing out of your eyeballs. Stop it. Stop it. I don't. People lie about their height and weight all the time. It's just the truth. So anyway, that's how I see it. Let's go ahead and continue on.
Case with those proceedings ending just a few
Let's see what
moments ago,
they're saying.
A prosecution witness identified the suspect,
Donaldson.
Richard Allen, for the first time in court. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bob Donaldson.
And I'm Chelsea Helms. Allen is charged with the murders, as you know, of Abby Williams and Libby German from back in 2017. CBS 4's Max Lewis has a late update from the Carroll County Courthouse.
So far this afternoon, we have heard from 2 of the investigators who...
And by the way, there's no other report of Richard Allen on them trails other than Richard Allen. And I'll show you guys here in just a second.
Who did the initial interrogation of Richard Allen after his name resurfaced in 2022. The first was Sheriff Tony Liggett, who was not sheriff at the time, but was the chief deputy and chief investigator on this case. Specifically, Tony Liggett wrote the search warrant the affidavit to get the search warrant from the judge. During that warrant, when they served that warrant, they found the gun in Richard Allen's nightstand that they say is connected to the bullet that was found.
You know how stupid a motherfucker would have to be to keep hold of the same gun after the murder? Let me explain something. You don't think a dude knows if he lost a bullet? If Richard Allen was the guy and he chambered a bullet and it popped out, first of all, I want you to ask yourself. I saw a lot of dummies yesterday in the chat room, and they said, JB, you could hear him cock his shit on the bridge. I said, you're a goddamn dummy. So you think he cocked the shit on the bridge and then lost it 35 minutes later up a 20-yard hill? A 20-foot hill, excuse me. I'm just curious how you think that went. I'm just curious how you think that entire situation went down. Now, I'm open to your theories, but if you can't have it both ways. Did he cock it on the bridge where you heard guys down the hill? Because that's what you guys were saying. Did he do it then? Or tell me when he cycled it through it. Tell me when he cycled it. Please tell me. Just let me know. I just want to hear your theory, because it can't be both. You know what I mean? Let's go ahead and get back to this. And by the way, why would he keep that same gun if he... Look, man, everybody, you know you lost the bullet. Now, you may not count... I don't know if you count your bullets when you go shooting or not. I'm sure you probably do. Bullets are expensive. But your average dude, if he's going to commit a crime... You don't think for 5 seconds Richard Allen would have been like, fuck, I dropped the bullet and went back? You don't think he would have went back? I don't know, man. Maybe not go back, but come on, man. You don't think he would have got rid of the gun? That sounds nuts.
At the crime scene, the bullet found in between the girls' 2 bodies. They also found a blue Carhartt jacket, very similar to the jacket seemingly worn in that bridge guy photo. The odd thing that they found in his home that really stood out to, I think, a lot of people, including myself, was that they found another 40 caliber bullet, same brand as the bullet found at the crime scene in what they described as a keepsakes box in Richard Allen's bedroom. That was quite interesting. During cross-examination, though, the defense insinuated that Sheriff Liggett, who is now sheriff, was running for sheriff at the time Richard Allen was arrested, that he made that arrest in order of bettering his chances to be elected sheriff. The other big moment came when they asked the sheriff of all the items that were taken from Richard Allen's home, taken from the scene, sent to be tested for DNA, if any DNA connects Richard Allen to the crime scene.
What was his answer?
Murders. Sheriff Liggett said no. They also asked if any of the digital evidence that has been a part of this case, there's been a lot of it, if any digital evidence ties Richard Allen to the crime scene, he said no.
Of
We
course.
also learned a little bit of a new tidbit from that part of the testimony, that apparently there were some clothes that the girls had on at the time that were missing from the crime scene, and to this day have never been recovered. Before Sheriff Liggett, we also heard from Steve Mullen, who is now the investigator for the Carroll County Prosecutor's Office and was also the former chief of police here.
So somebody took the clothes as a keepsake, but it wasn't found at Richard Allen's house. You know what? I remember the beginning of after the arrest, all these internet snack cake eating motherfuckers, they just flat out said, remember when they was searching his yard in the back where it was a dead cat? Everybody was like, oh, that's where he buried the girls' clothes. No, it ended up being like a dead cat, man. It was a dead cat, dummy. It was a dead cat.
In Delphi, one of his roles was actually he was in the interrogation, the first interrogation of Richard Allen after his name resurfaced in 2022. One of the big points of contention with him is Richard Allen's car. He says that Richard Allen's car is caught on video driving along the road going westbound by the trails. However, Richard Allen, when they asked him in his initial interrogation which way he was going on that road, he says he went around a loop, which would mean he was going eastbound. The defense asked for Steve Mullen to point out in the transcript of that interview where Richard Allen said that he was going westbound, as Steve Mullen.
And I bet you once again, just like the other witnesses, it wasn't in the transcript. Everybody's fucking lying.
Testified to, but he could not find it.
Bingo.
The defense actually, once they got to cross-examination, straight asked Steve Mullen if he had lied to the jury. It was a very contentious, really, cross-examinations, direct questioning as well throughout the day, several sidebars with the judge, several objections. We're not exactly sure who we're hearing from later this afternoon after Sheriff Liggett stepped down, but we will continue to bring you those updates as soon as we get them. In Delphi this evening, I'm Max Lewis.
Wild shit.
CBS 4
Wild shit.
Testimony today.
But let's go to this one. No other report of Allen on trails other than the self-reported tip.
Delphi murders trial took jurors to the early days of the investigation and the discovery of a misfiled report. Abby Williams and Libby German were killed in February of 2017. An arrest wasn't made until more than 5 years later. WRTV's Caitlin Kendall learned how that report played a key role in the investigation of suspect Richard Allen.
A misfiled report from 2017 put Richard Allen back on police's radar after it was discovered in 2022 by a woman named Kathy Shank. She was the first witness on the...
So keep in mind, still to this point, no DNA, no witnesses put him there, none of that.
...stand this morning, and she discussed...
And several witnesses have been caught up lying straight up, or at least remembering wrong.
What that report showed. She says in it, Richard Allen told police that he was on the trail the same day as Abby and Libby between 1:30 and 3:30. The next to the stand was Captain Daniel Dunn with the Department of Natural Resources. It was his report that Kathy Shank actually discovered with that first initial interview with Richard Allen back in 2017. He testified that they met at the grocery store and only met for about 10 minutes that day. The third witness to the stand was Steve Mullen, the Carroll County prosecutor's investigator that testified to a timeline of events, placing a car that he says matches Richard Allen's near the Monon High Bridge between the time frame of 1:30 and 3:30, which is what he originally said in his police interviews. During cross-examination, though, the defense challenged that by saying they had no way of knowing it was actually Richard Allen's car or actually Richard Allen driving it. The final witness was the Carroll County Sheriff Tony Liggett, who testified to the search warrant that was performed in Richard Allen's home. In that search warrant, he says police found a 6-hour 40 caliber handgun, and in the master bedroom, a 40 caliber bullet, a Winchester bullet, and a keep-safe box. He also said they only found one Winchester bullet that was a .40 caliber there and found some other ammo in the home.
Yeah.
When asked specifically about Richard Allen, Sheriff
Sounds like he does some shooting.
Tony Liggett said that Richard Allen was lost in the tracks and simply fell through the cracks in their investigation. Testimony is continuing on day 6 here in Delphi. We'll bring you the very latest on the news at 6. In Carroll County, Caitlin Kendall, WRTV.
Wow, shit.
Caitlin, thank you. Another development we learned about today outside of what's happening in the courtroom. Allen's defense says it wants the former Carroll County prosecutor to testify. Robert Ives stepped down back in December of 2017, 10 months after the girls were murdered. This week, the defense filed a subpoena for him to testify in court. Ives has filed a motion to quash the subpoena, and he says he is not a fact witness, and any information he has would be purely speculative, irrelevant, and inadmissible. We are waiting to hear what Judge Fran Gold decides.
Look at the old prosecutor. He's not wanting to testify.
Midday
That's
break in the
wild
Delphi
shit.
murders trial. The prosecution called more witnesses trying to build their case.
Oh, yeah, this is what we watched earlier about the misfiled report is what put Richard Allen in its sights. Look, man. Guys, we are now 6-7 days through the end of this trial. Is there anything that has convinced you, Richard? Look, man, I think this case is going horribly wrong for the prosecution. I think everybody here can agree with me, even if you think Richard Allen's guilty. Remember, I thought he was guilty because of the confessions, but man, look, remember, we're talking about murder. We're talking about taking the rest of this man's life. And I will never support taking the rest of a man's life. And you don't have, you can't find him guilty without reasonable doubt. I'm not going to support it. I don't support it with Brian Kohlberger. I'm not going to support it here. This case, whether Richard Allen did this or did not do this, you should not be able to get a conviction with this much corruption, this much secrecy. This case has been fucked up since the very beginning. So my position is that I don't necessarily think he's done it at this point in time. I think I was wrong. The confessions, we can handle that later. But I'm going to be honest, even if he's guilty, I don't care. I mean, I do care, but I don't care because I am never going to support you sending a man to death or to prison for the rest of their life when you clearly have fucked this whole case up and you clearly have no evidence on Richard Allen. And that's the truth. There is no evidence presented against Richard Allen so far at all. That bullet that you found in the mud, listen, the science isn't reliable. It's not like he fired the bullet. Just a bullet cycling through a gun. Look, man, that science is highly contested. It's just look, man, I challenge touch DNA in the Brian Kohlberger case. I'm definitely going to challenge this bullshit. There is no evidence towards Richard Allen at all. All you have is his confessions, which I admit is huge. But I'm going to be honest, man. You guys were inducing him with drugs and I don't know, man. Guys, that's what I think about the Richard Allen case. Now, let's go ahead and move on. If that's all you're here for, have a good day, motherfuckers. But guys, let's move on to Leilani Simon, man. Jury deliberations are underway in the Leilani Simon toddler trial. And look, man, I'm going to show you a video. And look, man, I don't give a shit. This entire trial has been one-sided. Leilani Simon is the biggest lying whore slut I've ever seen on the stand. She has gotten fucked up. The jury has been sent home for deliberations. But I'm going to show you. I want you to watch this. And I want you to feel this. And I want you to tell me, does this seem like a woman that has just went through a trial in which there was body parts of her child shown. She is on trial and accused of doing the most fucked up thing, throwing her baby in the trash. The baby was in a trash compactor or whatever the fuck it is, and his body was ripped apart. She has seen his body parts. I want you to watch this.
The evidence you shall give the court on the issue pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Simon, just have a seat on the witness stand, please.
I just want you to watch this.
Okay. All right.
You want me to do it?
I'm going to start out with Ms. Simon. Ms. Simon, please state your full name.
Leilani Simon.
Okay.
You'll see it in a minute.
You're doing the right thing. Just talking to the microphone so the court reporter can
Look
get
at
it.
her.
I think you've heard me give that instruction.
Yeah. Look at her.
A couple of times.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you understand
Look
that
at
you have
her.
a right to testify?
Yes, ma'am.
And that if you want to testify, no one can prevent you from doing so?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you also understand that no one can make you testify? No one can compel you to testify? Do you understand that as well?
Yes, ma'am.
And
Now, I don't know if she's retarded or Down syndrome or what the fuck this goofy looking bitch's issue is, but she's always got that smile, man. I have no clue what it is.
you have the right not to testify if you don't want to. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you understand that not your lawyer, but you personally are the one who decides whether or not you will testify?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you do not testify, that upon proper request by you, the court will instruct the jury that your decision cannot be used against you?
Yes, ma'am.
Now pay attention when they ask her if she wants to testify.
In fact, the court will instruct if you decide not to testify. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Look at all
Do you
these
understand that
smiles.
if you choose to testify, you will be examined by your counsel and cross-examined by the assistant district attorneys in AUSA?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you feel a need to have any additional time to consider whether or not you will testify?
I've been given plenty of time by my attorney.
You see this bitch? Now look at her. Watch this. Look at her. Man, this bitch is guilty as fuck. Watch the look on this cunt's face.
Consider whether or not you will testify.
I've been given plenty of time by my attorneys, notified weeks ago about this.
Do you need any time to talk with him in private about this?
No, ma'am.
See what I'm saying?
And so, do you personally wish to testify or not?
I do not.
And with that, I find
You see my
that
point?
the defendant, Leilani Simon, has decided not to testify with a complete understanding of her rights.
Yes,
Before you step off the stand, are there any further questions?
Just to follow up. Is anyone forcing you to not testify or to testify?
No, sir.
Your choice is made freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you've had adequate time to speak with me and Mr. Person about your choice, correct?
Plenty of time.
Okay.
You see
Just
her?
have to make
You
sure.
see her? Do you see this cunt?
That's the only questions I had, Judge.
All right. Ms. Simon, you may step down.
Thank you.
Yo! Look, man. Look, man. They're going to come back with that verdict today. It may be done by the time I get done making this video. There is no way deliberation goes further than today. Not a chance. It's Friday. The motherfuckers want to go home. So this is it. This is, other than tomorrow when I come back with the guilty verdict video on them. Here you go. This is it. This is it for the Leilani Simon trial. This cunt is cooked.
Operations are underway in the case of Leilani Simon, the Savannah mother accused of killing her toddler son.
One cook.
WJCL 22 News' Andy Cole joins us now live from the Chatham County Courthouse. And Andy,
Now I gotta admit, cook cunt sounds like a hell of a snack. it's not that bitch, but cook cunt smells like a hell of a snack. That sounds like. What do you want for dinner, JB? Cook cunt. Nice Not burnt cunt, because that's how shit goes wrong. But cooked cunt sounds fine.
Jurors weighed their options for about 2 hours today.
Yeah, that's after jurors heard compelling closing arguments from the prosecution and defense. But as you noted, Shannon, the case is now in their hands.
After 8 days of testimony, the prosecution and defense making their final arguments before a jury of 12 decides the fate of Leilani Simon.
She's the only one that hates the kid.
Right.
That hates Quentin.
Hates him.
And she's the only one blowing coke all night and stewing about how unhappy she is and how she's a victim and everybody's mistress.
Blowing coke, blowing her Tyrone drug dealer, all kinds of shit she was doing.
Prosecutor Tim Dean working to reinforce his largely circumstantial case, reminding jurors that there is no difference in weight between direct and circumstantial evidence.
Largely circumstantial. I don't know about that. I guess it's true.
Unhappiness, physical pain, discomfort from the tooth. These are the...
Now, I will be honest, it is largely circumstantial. They don't have any real evidence of anything. They got her, though, at the dumpster. They got the video of her at the dumpster. They don't have a murder weapon. They don't have the way the baby was murdered. Nothing like that.
Circumstances.
Defense attorney Martin Hilliard, on the other hand, asking jurors to forget the emotion brought into the courtroom.
We said in the beginning
she lied the whole time.
If not all of the state's case was based upon speculation and character assassination.
He did say that.
The exact words Mr. Peirce used. And we sat here for an hour and 28 minutes and listened to Mr. Dean say exactly that.
Hilliard attempted to turn the focus from Leilani to her then-boyfriend, Daniel Youngkin, who Hilliard said the state had to believe to fit into their theory.
I'm going to ask you to do the hardest thing you've probably ever done in your life, is to set your emotions aside, to view the evidence, and to return a verdict of not guilty.
He's not wrong, though. The evidence doesn't really show her to be guilty. He's not wrong. But if anybody that watched this trial from the beginning saw all the different lying and different shit she did, there's no way you can think she's innocent.
88 Jenny Parker getting the last word, asking that the jury deliver justice for Quentin.
That's right.
And to give Leilani the justice she
all them motherfuckers Down syndrome ass. Look at it. Look at all of them.
deserves.
Leilani Simon is not a mother. She is a monster.
That's true.
And I do not use that word lightly. But what this woman did in this case is horrific. And she is absolutely a monster.
It was.
And jurors deliberated for a little less than 2 hours today before breaking for the day. They will resume tomorrow morning. And, of course, we'll continue our gavel-to-gavel coverage. Outside the Chatham County Courthouse, I'm Andy Colton with JCL 22 News.
All right, Andy, thanks so much. You can stay up.
All right. We're done with that shit. Look, man. Right now, Richard Allen looks like he's going to walk. If you just ask me, right now, I'm like, Richard Allen should walk. Leilani Simon today should be found guilty. In fact, I'm going to go get this video uploaded for you guys. If you guys like what I do here and you find my content valuable, you get a little chuckle here and there and some good information, feel free to join the Gun Squad by hitting the links down below. Let me know in the comment section what you think. And if you're going to cry about my vulgarity, suck my dick. How about that? Just saying. Feel free.